Moving millions of Londoners around day and night takes some doing. With a growing population, the need for transport infrastructure is recurrent. That's why the Crossrail project was started. It took a while to be completed, there were delays and cost overruns, which is all we knew about it for a while, but the line finally opened and mostly everyone forgot about the delays and the cost overruns, which might be what happens with HS2 if it is ever completed. Of course, a brand new line running smoothly wasn't super interesting, so a new narrative quickly emerged. The Elizabeth line is too crowded. In this video, I want to talk about why the Elizabeth line is already so crowded. Is that bad planning? Are there other factors at play? I will consider two reasons why the Elizabeth line is already so crowded, and then at the end I'll talk about why maybe it is not that crowded. So stick around. I am Antoine Vernet and I use social science and data literacy to help you understand business and society. Subscribe for more. Let's dive in. The first explanation for why the Elizabeth line got crowded so quickly is the theory of induced demand. In brief, the idea is that people are deciding to make the journey that they would not otherwise have done. If the train didn't exist, those people would have stayed at home and not traveled. But because the train offers a convenient way to get somewhere that they have some mild interest in getting to, they are now deciding to get on the train. While it is possible that some of the traffic on the Elizabeth line comes from those people that are now deciding to travel but were not traveling by other means before, it is difficult to believe that that would be a large proportion of passengers. The reason is that most people that travel with the Elizabeth line had to travel before. The new line beginning operations doesn't raise the number of passengers by that much overnight. If roughly the same number of passengers travel before and after the Elizabeth line begins operation, what might explain why the Elizabeth line is so crowded? Maybe being the fastest route to Heathrow without an extortionate price tag on it, I'm looking at you, Heathrow Express, explains why the Elizabeth line got busy so quickly. So mostly the traffic on the Elizabeth line is not new people deciding to travel that were not traveling before, it is people shifting their journeys from one line to another or from one mode of transport to another. In this specific case, it's people shifting from the Piccadilly line to the Elizabeth line to go to Heathrow, because it will get them there faster. We just saw two reasons why the Elizabeth line got crowded quickly. Despite what I just said, and despite the headlines, I want to argue that in fact, the Elizabeth line is not crowded. If we look at the actual numbers, it looks like even at its busiest, the Elizabeth line operates below capacity. If that is the case, why do we feel that the line is so busy? That's often described as the class size paradox. I'm not sure it qualifies as a paradox. In short, the idea is that from the perspective of trains, there is plenty of available capacity and the average train is not that full. But from the perspective of passengers, because most passengers travel in the busiest trains, passengers experience very busy train. So the majority of passengers have the impression that the trains are very busy, even though the average train is mostly empty or at least not that busy. This is an important thing to keep in mind when analyzing observational data, because in the case of the passengers, their observations are biased because on average they're made in trains that are much busier than the average train. Whether or not this observation should be the basis on which we decide whether or not we run more trains really depends on what we're trying to optimize for. To conclude, this highlights why data literacy is a critical skill to help people make better decisions both at work and in life. I think it's critical that we train more people not only in critical thinking, but also to be data literate. I hope you found this useful, give it a like to help it spread to a wider audience, and check out this video for more of my content. Bye for now!